All right, all right, all right, all right. Shalom, shalom, and shalom, Sister Deborah. Bringing a message this evening. Coming again with a message. And you know what? Believe it or not, my little mind just went totally blank regarding the message itself. I done got lost in my title. And I should have wrote it down, which I do all the time. I do that all the time. But let me get it because I can pull it up because I want to say it more than once. Yep, this old lady, this little old hen. Can we make sense? Can we make things make sense? Let's do that tonight. Let's try to make things make sense. Um, as a young person coming up, I would never have thought that I would find myself as a teacher of the word. I knew that I was something in the body. At that time, I looked at it as just body of Christ. But I did not know that I would be where I'm at today, speaking the word from the Ruach within me. Back then, we used to call it the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost. So I knew something was in me. I knew my purpose was in the body of Hamashiach, but I didn't quite know what the purpose was. The Most High gave that to me later on in life. I think I was like in my 30s. He called me with the holy calling as a prophetess. I remember one day I was in the kitchen and I was there from morning to the next morning. I had bought me notebook paper, pencil, pens, highlighters, and I was going from one. Don't get me wrong now. I fixed dinner. I got kids' clothes ready. I got them ready for school, homework. I did everything, but I kept going back to that kitchen, to that King James Bible. My whole ideal of writing everything down and mastering it. I was going to master everything. And I woke up that morning, got them ready for school. And after that, I was there to the next morning. I'm serious. Until the Ruach paid me a deep visit. And he asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm making sure I do study. I make sure I do a study, Father, and I'm writing everything down so I can study it and memorize it so I won't forget it in case people start coming to me even more often. They had already started coming, but I want to be able to tell them where it's at, Father, and I want to be able to tell them what it says and tell them where they can find it and tell them where it's at." And then you know what he said to me? He said, "Who asked you to do that? That's not your calling. That's not what I told you." That's the only reason why I stopped. Because he charged me. Don't do that. What you can do, you can go in and find out, learn, just read what the other prophets and prophetess was doing back in those days. But you go in it and you come out of it. I'm your teacher. Y'all, I heard the voice of Yah within me tell me, I'm going to be your teacher. I'm going to teach you. You don't need to be trying to write everything down and master it. You ain't going to worry about what to say. And that's how my life has been, even when I was way younger. I never had to worry or focus on, make sure I say this, make sure I say. Everywhere I went, I spoke it. Even when I was a teenager, I spoke it. And it stayed, and it stood firm. Now, I don't know what the people did with it, but at least I spoke it to the ear. Okay? So the reason why I'm saying that is to say that when you have a purpose in you from Yah, that purpose, if you have not come to some sort of understanding, which he is all understanding with Yah, that purpose in you for his will, and you don't care to go before the throne to find out, or you feel when I'm up in age, or I'm too young, or I'm a male, I'm a female, when I got things to do, oh, I work. That's another one. Oh, I got a family. You know, all these reasons, they all are okay for individuals who are born of the flesh. All of those reasons are excellent for individuals who are born of the flesh. Today, we're going to make some things make sense. We're going to make some things make sense. Okay? And we're going to be going a little here, a little there, and we're just going to cover chapters and verses, and then we're going to expound or get into it and just dig a little deeper in what is being said. Okay? And I first and foremost would, I think I will. I think I would start off with that Romans chapter 6 and verse 14. In the book of Romans chapter 6, verse 14, we're going to try to make it make sense. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but with the help of the Ruach in me, he would, if it be his will, he would give me the in-depth part of it. Okay? Because I know it's something else that is in the midst of it that I just cannot see right now. But I like to start from Romans chapter 6 and verse 14. We're going to make it make sense. Okay? In Romans chapter 6 and verse 14, it says, "For sin shall not have dominion over you." Sin shall not have dominion over you. For ye are put under, no, for ye are, well, I think I'm gonna have to go there because I kind of messed that up. Let me get it out. Let me get it right quick. Romans chapter 6. Romans chapter 6 and verse 14. Let's go over it again. For sin shall not have dominion over you. For ye are not under the law, but under grace. Now, when I first got onto YouTube about 7 years ago, there was it was so much battle going on, and the battle was all about the law, the commandments, keeping the law, keeping the commandments, the law, the commandments, the law, the commandments. And the brothers were so hardcore on making sure they beat that into people to the point where I don't even think people really realize that what this law really was that they are to keep. Because when they talked about the laws, they begin to say, oh, it's this 600 or something like that. And then they were saying, well, you got to keep this law in the Old Testament, but you have to keep this commandment. It was just so many laws, and it was commandments. Just imagine. That is their awakening. They never reached the level of awakening to spirit and truth. They never reached the level of awakening to the light that's so bright. It was always awakening to battle people with the law and the commandments. To the point, and y'all, this is really what happened 7 years ago. I got so disappointed with them till I went before the throne. I began to ask them, what is this? What is this law that these men that said that they are Hebrew Israelites, what is this law they talking about, Father? For they use it like a iron claw. I mean, I'm telling y'all might not even understand it, but 7 years ago, the law and the commandments like an iron claw. They just clamping people with the law and the commandments. You got to keep the law, keep the law, keep the law, keep the law, and keep the law. Never understanding that Israel and Judah never kept the law nor the commandments. Even throughout all the route that Yah took them to, allowing them space to be able to be forgiven for their sins and what they did, they still could not keep the law and the commandments. So coming on to YouTube 7 years ago and seeing them conducting themselves in that manner, did y'all know they used to debate each other? They used to fuss and argue on this devil platform. It was always a battle between Hebrew Israelites and Hebrew Israelites. Only the men. The women were too ignorant. They always believed whatever they told them. And that's why they all lost. But they never made sense of what they were saying. My thing is, and I just believe that it's in me, because I always felt when they used to battle like that, and then their greatest battle was with Christians who kept telling them we're not no longer under the law. I'm going to make this thing make sense. The Christians were saying we're no longer under the law. So we're not bound to keep the law because we're not under the law. We're under grace. So you got the Christians on one side and the Hebrew Israelites on the other. And the Hebrew Israelites felt so good that they have mastered what they thought was the law and the commandments to the point where they can debate any church, any religion. They figured that was their key. That was their main key. That and the name. They have no idea that I was and is a prophetess in the wilderness. When I had to go to the throne of the Father in question of what mindset is there of a people that believe the law and the commandment is to be used like an iron claw. And that's how I brought it before the throne. I brought it before the Most High Yah, just like that. I said, they using the law and the commandment, Father, and I was doing like this, telling him every time I talk to the Most High regarding it, I always say they're using it like an iron claw, Father, because that's what they did. They act as if them knowing the law and the commandments was so powerful in it. It was so much power in it. They was using it to attack every religion as if it was an iron, both Law and commandment was an iron claw. My issue was seeing this here and couldn't believe it. But my issue was wanting to go before the throne of the Most High and say, wait a minute, Father, what is this? Let's make sense of that. Let's make sense of it. So when you get to Romans, you see in Romans chapter 6 and verse 4, it says, Romans chapter 6 and verse 14, it says, for sin shall not have dominion over you. Do you hear that? Well, can you kind of make it make sense, Deborah? Somewhere along the line, this is Paul speaking and telling one that sin shall not have dominion over you. Now, what can keep sin from having dominion over you? What can actually keep sin from having dominion over you? I wonder, did the Hebrew Israelite camps ever precept that verse? It says, for sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. They couldn't deal with that. They couldn't handle that, even to this very day, October 2025. The Hebrew Israelites, the camps, the men, the watchmen, the seers, the Moorings, the colonels, the apostles, the prophets, the pastors, the teachers, they cannot handle this. But let me kind of make it make sense, okay? We're going to do that tonight. We're going to make things make sense. And here it tells you, in my mind, I'm trying to understand, why is it this precept meant nothing to them? When they always say, let's precept a little here and a little there. They always say, give me a precept, give me a precept. What happened to this precept? The reason why they would not go in this area and pull out this precept, because it's simple and easy spoken. For ye are not under the law, but under grace. They couldn't handle that, because the law and commandments is the beginning and the end of the Hebrew Israelite movement. That's how they were able to conquer and control the mass of individuals that are of Israel and Judah on the four corners. That's how they was able to master it, using the law and the commandments as iron claws. And if you try to get away from the iron claws, it's going to grip you. It's going to hook you. And that's what they have. And that's all they got to go on, is the law and the commandments. But here is a statement right here saying, so when I heard the battle, now here come the battle. The battle was against all the religion, especially Christians. Because Christians would battle with them and say, no, we're no longer under the law, we're under grace. Well, Sister Deborah is here today to tell you, Romans chapter 6 and verse 14 has nothing to do with the neither nor. Neither nor. This is not applied to the Christians nor the Hebrew Israelites. This is applied to individuals that are the righteous seeds of Yah. So while Hebrew Israelite movement is battling with every religion, especially Christians, telling them that they have to keep the law and the commandment, and over here the Christians said we don't have to keep the law because we're no longer under the law. When the Christians don't understand, they're not under anything. So they right. They don't have to keep nothing. Because grace ain't going to keep you either. While they're saying we're under grace, we're not under the law and commandment. We're under grace. We're not no longer under the law. Grace can't do all that for you. Because grace was poured out on every mankind. So grace ain't going to get you out either, baby. Only the righteous seeds of Yah. What do you mean, Deborah? Can you make it make sense? Verse 14 said, the sin shall not have dominion over you. He speaks of the righteous seed of Yah. Those who are the righteous, that are branded with righteous. They have no sin that has dominion over them. For ye are not under the law, but under grace. How did they get under grace? Through righteousness. See, grace, mercy and grace was poured out on all of us. Okay? But the grace also that this is speaking of is the grace that was poured out on the righteous seed of Yah. So the Christians and the Hebrew Israelites and any and every other religion who tries to declaim this is not for you. This is not for you. This is for the righteous one, and the righteous one only. And then you get to Romans chapter 7 and verse 6. In Romans chapter 7 and verse 6, it says, but now we are delivered from the law. I wonder why the Hebrew Israelites didn't grip that in their precepts. You got Romans chapter 6 say you're no longer under the law, and the law don't have dominion over you. Sin don't have dominion over you. Then you get to Romans chapter 7 verse 6. But now we are delivered from the law. I wonder why they didn't get that. All these years that they upheld this Hebrew Israelite movement, cult, in all these groups, what happened that they didn't precept that? Where it's actually say, but now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in the newness of our spirit and not in the oldness of the latter. Meaning what they then wrote down in the old. We're not under that. Okay? What happened to where people upheld Torah? Torah was another one that they was hanging people from. Oh, what did Torah say? What did Torah say? It's in Torah. Look in Torah. We got to go by Torah. We got to. Did you understand? Did they understand Israel and Judah ain't never abide by the law and commandment. They never abide and upheld anything righteous in Torah. So how is it that we will come to the land of our captivity and we got to uphold Torah when Torah was never upheld? That's why you got your butts here now. Due to disobedience. To what? Torah then and Torah now, because your forefathers never obeyed Torah. Your forefathers never obeyed the law and the commandments that was placed in that area during that time. But now you get in captivity, it's time to obey it, huh? It's time to follow the land now. Not follow the land, follow the law now, huh? Now that you're in captivity. This is all the Hebrew Israelite movement cult has been about. And everybody that's clicked into that and started in it for years and years and claimed it and still naming it, they are lost with a cause and without. We're going to make this thing make sense in the spirit. Okay. So here in Romans chapter 7, verse 6, but now we are delivered from the law, that being dead, wherein we were held, that we should serve in the newness of our spirit. But Father, how can they do that? They can't. These people don't even know they got a spirit. They so hooked on soul. They don't know nothing about their spirit, Father. That shows you they've been a long ways from anything that is spirit and truth. A long ways from what you call light. They've been away. So he says here that we should serve in the newness of spirit, not in the old letter, which is back in Torah and back in the old. So the one thing I will say about the Christians, their battle with the Hebrew Israelite movement was, we're no longer under the law. So y'all talking about we got to keep the law, and we didn't have the name, Do y'all understand today, which I know many of you might not, that the name that they are gripping and everybody didn't grip up until, what are we at? October 2025? This law and this commandment has never been what it is and what it was yesterday. It was trying to get them under some sort of righteous order, some sort of covenant, and they never met the obligation that Yah put before. And then we stand around as if Yah has not warned us. You where you at because of your forefathers who never obeyed the commandments and the laws, nor kept the covenant. But yet, you're trying to master it and producing the seeds of your forefathers and your forefathers. But not realizing you just as lost as they were. But what? Worse. And the Christians telling the Hebrew Israelite movement, well, we're not under the law. You're right. You ain't under nothing. Because if people are not under the understanding of the Ruach HaKodesh, you ain't under nothing but the flesh of your walk, the flesh of your talk. And for the Hebrew Israelite, likewise. But 7 years, I had gotten off this thing up thinking that the Father was going to give the keys to the so many times to the house of Israel. Judah, and the house of Israel, and to the tribe of Judah. I just knew y'all was going to give the keys. I waited and I waited and I waited, and they never received the keys, even to the year of 2025, October. They still have not received the keys. The keys unlock the mystery, y'all. And if they don't have Yah's prophets in the midst of them, they don't need number one. They don't need number one. But they don't even have one in the midst of them. That's why they feed the multitude of those that they're training to believe their lies. And they hardcore on the law and the commandments. And reading poor verses letting you know you're no longer under the law. Why? Why aren't you under the law? When Christ stepped in you, let me tell you something. That's all power. What law gonna bind that up? They don't get it though. You see? He's letting you know sin don't even have dominion over you. Romans chapter 6, verse 14. For sin shall not have dominion over you. For ye are, I didn't, not under the law, but under grace. And this grace is the grace, this grace here of the righteous. Because the other grace and mercy was poured out on everybody. But what I like about Romans 6 and 14 is so plainly understand what happened that the Hebrew Israelites didn't grip that you're no longer under the law. Then we come here to Romans chapter 7, verse 6. But now we are delivered from the law. How do we get delivered? Through Christ, the Ruach HaKodesh. We're delivered from that law. You see? So it says that we should serve a newness of spirit. 99.9 don't respect the fact that they are a new creature. And it says, and not in the old letter. I mean, you ain't going back to the Old Testament trying to pull it up. Why? Because he made you become a new creature. Old things pass away. When that Ruach step in and give you that power of Christ, everything up must stand down. Because now the new sheriff is in town. He living in you. Do they get it? No. I'm going to make this thing make sense. Okay? So as I see that, I began to wonder, how did they miss all those precepts? You know how the Hebrew Israelite groups come talking about, give me a precept and line upon line, a little here and a little there. Sit yourselves down. And they have. You don't hear them hooping and hollering all that mess no more. When I get to Galatians chapter 5 and verse 18, just listen to this. In Galatians chapter 5 and verse 18, just hear this. 5 and 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, I just got to telling you that. Let's go again. Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. Now, not 19, verse 18. Galatians chapter 5, verse 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, go back, Deborah, tell them again. If ye be led of the Spirit of Yah, ye are not under the law. What happened back in 7 years ago when they were battling, y'all? They was battling like gang banging about the law and the commandment and using it like an iron claw to battle and debate. And they thought they was winning. They didn't calm down a whole lot. But they still are leading that small percentage of Judah that think that they are awakening. So here in verse 18, he's telling you, But if ye be led by the Spirit of Yah, ye are not under the law. Then Romans pulled up on me and he said, for sin shall not have dominion over you. How dare sin think it can? After the Spirit is leading you, how can sin have dominion over you if the Spirit of the Ruach is leading you? Now watch this here. Romans chapter 6 and verse 14. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for ye are not under the law, but under grace. Why? Because the Spirit of the Holy Spirit of Yah is leading you from the inside where he resides in you. That means the law on the outside has no dominion, like sin on the outside of your flesh. It don't have dominion over you no more. But don't forget, it's only those that Galatians chapter 5 and verse 18 says. But if ye be led by the Spirit. And then Romans 7 and 6 pull up and said, but now we are delivered from the law. Woo-wee! That being dead wherein we have held. We used to hold that, we held that spot. That we should serve in the newness of our spirit, because now the Ruach is in our spirit, and not be in the oldness of the letter. You ain't got no business following the letter, because you have been redeemed. And the new sheriff now lives in you. He ain't the new sheriff. He is Yah himself. He lead you from the inside. And your spirit is where he dwells. Okay? So I can't explain. No, don't say it, because it's about making it make sense. I can explain my own experience 7 years ago trying to understand what I end up having to call them a cult. That they were just people who didn't know they left from their right. The Hebrew Israelite groups, that's how they are today. Same thing. And you don't hear them as much now. They didn't calm down a whole lot, because they was using the law and the commandment like two iron claws. And then they used the name. And then the Christian's going to pull up and says, we don't have to go by the law and the commandment. We're under, no, they said we don't have to go by the law, but they threw in commandments because we're now under grace. No, baby, you been. No, Christian, you been. You been. You have to be a new creature. And what makes you a new creature? That Holy Spirit living in you takes you out of the law on the outside of you. Because now you the new law that rests inside of you, that is of Yah. That's what makes you a new creature, because you're under a new law from the inside. That law they talking about is a letter, and it's on the outside. But the new law rests within you. Okay? So I was having this issue, and I don't know if anyone can kind of help me with this one here. This is the one that didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense, so let's see if we can make it make sense. Listen to this. In Romans chapter 2, verse 28 through 29. Romans chapter 2, verse 28, it says, for he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh. Verse 29, but he is a Jew which is one inward, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter. That means all them words that everybody keep trying to bring above Yah. whose praise is not of men, but of Yah. Now, this is the issue I was having. I don't know if any of y'all understand or understood that verse. It's talking about the Jews, and it's saying a Jew that's a Jew on the outside is not a Jew. You have to be a Jew from the inside. Okay? Now, as I was beginning to do a little search on that, I fell into this situation of what I've been speaking on as far as darkness overshadowing the light. Jew comes from the form of Judah, Judea. And how can you get Jews out of anything that's not Judah, Judea? How? Judah is a nation of people, melanated people. How did this world have that powerful light in all that darkness? How could that be? That going back to that message I taught y'all the other day. How light is going to come out of darkness. But it bothered me because I said, but Father, how can a whole world make someone a Jew? But you have to be a Jew from the inward man because it's a nation. It's a nationality. So how did you steal an identity that don't match the nation, the culture, the tribe? And all of these billion people, not one could testify to it. Not one preach it and teach it. Even among the Hebrew Israelites. They rather battle the fact, we the people, we the people, we the people. That's all they say. But before they find out that they are you're hollering about you the people. Now, the first thing you need to do, you need to start with who you are, as far as how ugly you are, before you find out who you are. Oh no, you got to go there, baby. When you dealing with Israel and Judah, that's the same issue that I will put before y'all any time of the day. It doesn't make sense, Father. They would never find out who they are, and they have not. October 2025. They still don't know. It's exactly the way I put it before the Father. It's impossible for them to even know. No, it ain't impossible for you, Father. But it's for them to be the type of people they are, it's impossible for them to even know. Because it wouldn't be that you would fight the fact that you in captivity and all these things that's here in this country and what they have done. You will be fighting the fact that, wait a minute, Jew is Judean. I think I'm saying that right. It arrives from Judah, a melanated people. So how you gonna make Jews Europeans? And nobody say nothing. See, y'all think this stuff is funny. Why would Sister Deborah say y'all think it's funny? Because you don't have no one expounding, teaching, preaching it. No one saying anything. The things that I've been on this devil platform speaking about for 7 years, I still yet have not heard anyone speak anything I have been speaking on. Nothing. So it's the will of that mighty right hand that people stay blind and in the dark as they have been since time past. Because I don't see how. I read that, and the first thing I'm like saying, but wait a minute, let me look over here. Oh, let me study this one right here. Oh, let me go over here. Wait a minute. Everything tells you that this is a people, a melanated people, a nation, a tribe. So how can you get a melanated people to be European? Can you do that? Impossible. Why you say that? Because these people are stone cold Europeans from Europe. They cannot have the bloodline of Judean, I think I'm saying that right, Judah, which is a melanated people. They cannot be a Jew because that doesn't represent a European people. So it doesn't bother y'all, do it? It really doesn't do anything for you to know how could that be? This is what y'all is saying, Deborah. That's why I'm bringing light out of darkness in the end days. Because that which was in the light shall come to, that which was in the dark shall come to the light in the last days. You see? Is it coming? Yeah, you hear all about it now. But guess what? It ain't coming to let Judah take the place. Woo! Ooh, Deborah, where you get that from, girl? You better cut that stuff out. It ain't coming to light to bring Judah into its righteous place. No. Because I don't even think that was a part of even Yeshua's, not Yeshua's, the Most High's curse itself within itself. It's not a part of it. That's why you want, you don't, but I wonder, okay, Father, 400 years and all you're going to get is about 2 to 3% of Judah, knowing he Judah? That's like none. And then I'm pulling up here, and in Romans chapter 2 and verse 29, in Romans chapter 2 and verse 29, it said, but he is a Jew, which is one inward. How could you be a Jew inward? Because you're a nation, you're a tribe, you're a culture, you're a people. So how could the European be a Jew inward? Make it make sense. That one you ain't gonna make it make sense. Only sense you can make out of that is to leave it alone, because to me, when I saw that, I said, I got to bring that up. Because that thing, only one way it makes sense is the way Yah orchestrated it. But then it still don't make sense fully to me until he, the Ruach, break that thing down in me and out of me. Because I'm like saying, how could, let me tell y'all what makes sense about it. He said that which is in the dark, the light that is in the dark, in the end days, let's put the end days, which where we at, we're in them days, that which is in the dark should come to light in the end days. That's the only reason why I see, or I can embrace the fact that, okay, they they got the identity and the whole world knew it all the time that they weren't. So it wasn't like they didn't know. But just, I look at the people. How could Judah not have nothing outside of killing one another and destroying their community and destroying their women and women destroying their men. Just all nothing. Somebody then got their identity and gone. And that light coming out of it ain't gonna bring Judah back to his righteous place as the true Jews. It ain't gonna bring you. It ain't gonna bring you. He's gonna take your butt over there to Mount Zion, but it ain't gonna bring you back to that level of who you are, because the power in that, they already know that they are not the Jews, and the whole world knows. But how, Father Yah, how could they know that they ain't the true Jews? And the whole world know that they ain't the true Jews, and the real Jews don't know they're the Jews. Who set that up that bad? That's just showing you a type of people. When I tell you 100%, you be lucky to get 2%, in between 4 to 2% that knows that they are the Judeans or the Judah, which is the true Jews. And from what it looks like, it has to come from within. It ain't what you say you are on the outside. It has to be a nationality, a people, a race of people. And that's what threw me all off. I'm like, Father, you sure made sure this be all the way to the end. This is it. You know, Michael Jackson had a song, This Is It. That's how I see this. This is it. And what happened? He was gone. He knew it was it. They had already signed him out. He knew it. Just like that other man that passed away a week ago. Balkan. Oh, yes, he knew it. That's why he made 2 videos talking about he was sick and they running some tech. Bro, please. I'm not you. I can discern it all the way. He knew they got him. He had to go. Same thing with Michael Jackson. When you look at that, him doing This Is It, I'm like, wait a minute, bro, this is it for you. That's why that title there, and no one ever thought about it. That was it for him. They had already told him they had his head. That was it. All that was a plan. Even his family knew that was it. The power. So the problem I have, you hear the Hebrew Israelite fighting, talking about we the people. You so busy acting a fool about being the people, you don't know what you are. You see? Because it's an inward thing. It's not an outward. So therefore, they can say they the true Jews on the outside. But the truth of the whole matter, of the light, you got to be Judah, the Jew from the inside. That's what it just told you. Inward. They don't get it. All righty, let's go. Now we're about to rumble here. Let's see if we can make it make sense here. Let's start with Ephesians. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 19. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 19, it reads, and for me that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly, okay, to make known the mystery. The mystery. Who is this Paul? He's telling you, for Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 19, and for me that utterance may be given. You hear that word given? So he's telling you something has to give him unto him, that I may open my mouth boldly. See, a lot of people thinking when you're bold and you're speaking bold and blunt, that's just who you are. No, it ain't, baby. I done prayed and prayed about the way I talk. Y'all said, you what I made you to be. Deborah, you got a lane. Be about what I invested in you. That was one of the twos, blunt and bold. So he's here, Paul is saying that I may open my mouth boldly. Now watch this here. To make known, and you would have to be able to speak bold. You have to find yourself in that place of boldness to speak the mystery of the gospel. Now watch this here. What is the mystery? Anybody? What is Paul saying regarding just the word mystery? Wait a minute. What is the mystery that Paul needs Yah to give him the words to utter it in the boldness form? The mystery. The mystery first. Just the mystery. The mystery was set up from the flow up, you guys, to be the end word. It's like the light coming out of darkness. In the end days, that which is in the dark shall come to light. The boldness is coming out of darkness. So the mystery, Paul is saying, give me some boldness so I can utter the mystery. Could he do it without that boldness and that what he was asking him to give him? No, he couldn't. Nor can I. We cannot do it without the Father. So the mystery, it's in the bosom of the Father. It's the Father mystery. Haven't y'all heard him told several of them to close the book? Even Daniel didn't get to know a lot of it. He just looked stupid because y'all told him to shut it up. And he wanted to know. No. Guess why? Y'all saved them for you. He prepared the mystery for you all in the end days. And that's why I say to you all, it is so important to even have a spiritual backpack so you can be able to put spirit and truth in the light therein. Because the mystery was held back. And guess what? Paul asking for the mystery. But Paul spoke it, but not to the level of what Deborah takes it and run with it in the end days. So the mystery was for the end days. Let's go there. Revelation chapter. I hope I got that. I bet you it's in my other book. Revelation chapter 10. I hope it's this one here. Nope, it's the one torn out. Where he says the seventh angel blew the trumpet. You know what he said? The mystery is finished. Yah is finished with the mystery. And the only way you're going to get it out, get the mystery, is in the end days. It was given to the prophets, which he said, the servants, the prophets. And you think he's calling these people knuckleheads out here now? No. They so hung up on themselves, calling themselves to be a prophet. Just because people saying they prophets and prophetess don't mean that they are. No, they are. They are. Don't get me wrong. They are. They're the one called to walk in the flesh. But the ones called to walk in the spirit, the seventh angel lets you know they're the one that's going to carry the mystery. And I'm bringing it forth before you. Many of you all right here today have no idea the power of that name that everybody battling. Have no idea of nothing containing what you have to have in you. Not your mouth claiming it and naming it, but it has to be in you. So what Paul was said, and yes, you are right. You're 100% correct. The mystery is the gospel. That's the mystery. the gospel. And when you hear the gospel, you don't even know what the gospel is. Because not only did Satan deceive you, the world deceived you as well. And they did a good job. Because the gospel is the power. So you are 100% correct. It is the power. The mystery is the mystery that Yah had upheld until the end day. He was bringing the mystery out by the power. So when you're running around here trying to figure out what the name is, guess what? It ain't these names you mumbling, jumbling out of your mouth. It's the name that carries the power. Ah, you didn't know that, did you? Oh, yes. All these names don't mean nothing. Well, what do you mean, Deborah? Okay. I'm finna make it make sense. How in the rest behind everybody got the name right, but don't have the power? What's the sense of having the name without the power? With that name, let me see you move mountains. With that name, let me see you wake the dead. With that name, let me see you lay hands on the sick. Go to the hospital, make everybody well. Let me see what you can do with that name that you said you got. That name y'all running y'all mouth with, it is vain and vast. It is worthless if it don't have the power. You see how all these names everybody trying to say, oh, he Yahuwah, Yahshua, Lakua, Akua, all these names, when you finish, if these names don't hold the power, it ain't his name. Y'all just messed up on the floor, believing anything and everything, even to the very end. Are you deceived? Once you believe and then you receive, and you shall receive what? First and foremost, when that Holy Spirit come in you, you shall receive power. At that moment, it didn't say you shall receive the name. It said you shall receive power. You shall receive the comforter. You shall receive the teacher of all things. You shall receive the revealer. You shall receive the one that will bring things to your remembrance. You shall receive everything, but never did he tell you that you shall receive a name. It's the power that gets you the name. Didn't you not hear, or have you not heard, denying the power therein? Because everybody keep calling that darn name and don't know nothing about the power therein. There's no such thing as his name without the power. So as you read Ephesians chapter 6, verse 19, it says, and for me, that utterance may be given. Paul telling you he needs something to be given unto me, that I may open my mouth. What is Paul talking about? What is Paul asking for? What is Paul asking for? Paul said, give me some real strong power, that I may speak in this boldness. Watch what he said. To make known the mystery, Father, of the gospel. Why would gospel have a mystery to it? Why would gospel have a mystery to it? Because the ball was dropped years ago. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. It ain't got nothing to do with the Roman Catholic, the fake ooze, everybody changing the Bible, smearing it, turning it upside down, adding, taking away, throwing a little Torah in, not Torah, the strolls in there, and just all over the place. Paul is sitting here talking about the mystery. When the mystery was the gospel. Ever since the beginning, when you didn't know the power. In Genesis 1. The chapter, Genesis 1. Now, you're not knowing the power then. You ain't going to know what Paul talking about here. But everybody want to take the name and use all these names to identify something. When you finish, you don't have the right. You don't have the authority to be saying anything. Look at Paul. Paul sitting here pleading for him to give it to him just so he can be bold enough to speak on the mystery of the gospel. Why do you need that boldness, Paul? Paul, hey, Paul, wait a minute. Hold up a little bit. Why do you need that mystery, Paul? No, why do you need that boldness to speak that mystery, Paul? What's going on down yonder? Why do you need that boldness to speak that mystery, to tell these people today that the gospel is the power, and to share with them the mystery, which is all about the power, because they never had the power detached to my Father. And they run their tails around using all these names. How dare you think you got the name without the power? That's why Sister Deborah have told y'all. People running around here, hypocrite. They don't know they left from their right. They just playing everything for all it's worth. That's how Satan was able to deceive the whole world so swiftly, easy. He got everybody to deny the power. They run around here saying his name is did. His name is did. His name is did. Oh, we got the name. You don't know. That ain't his name. Jesus ain't his name. Christ ain't his name. Oh, Yeshua ain't his name. Yahuwah ain't his name. Shut your mouth. You ain't got the name either if you ain't got the power. Because the name is the power and the power is the name. He stood right there in Genesis and he spoke word. And what happened? Power pulled up. And his eye, spiritual eye, saw that it was good. He spoke word, and then what happened? Power pulled it up. They don't even know who he is. But yet they got the name. He had to come to the Gospel of John and say it in a way that's fierce. I saw it to be fierce. You might not see. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with Yah. And the Word was Yah. It was with him in the beginning. Why they couldn't see it? Why they couldn't see it? Because they wanted him to see him like a man. They wanted him to see the Father like the flesh. That's always Israel and Judah. They always want a God that they can worship at their capacity. Nobody don't want my Father for who he is, who he was, and who he's going to be, and who don't give a rat's behind. He's still going to be all that and something when y'all done. Running around here quoting all that mess. And ain't even got no power to move nothing out of your way. They don't even got a power to even discern. You ain't got none of the gifts. No fruit of the Spirit, ain't got nothing, but you got the name right. Can't have the name without the power. You can't have the power without knowing who he is. And it ain't based on a name that you could utter out your mouth. You have to know him to be the power over any and everything first and foremost. That's the first thing he said you're going to receive. When he come upon you, you shall receive the power. What's wrong? Where's your power? Oh, but you got the name down. He didn't say you're going to receive my name. He said you're going to receive power. That's why I like what was said earlier. Sin don't have dominion over you. How dare it try to? When he just told you you're going to receive power. Now, what's sin going to have something up on that power that he said you're going to receive? So how is sin going to have dominion over you? It's not. Because he's giving you that spiritual power. That's why you don't go out here doing wrong and doing wicked and evil and sinning and backbiting and being conniving, pride-minded, all these other things. But then running around here talking about you saved. How saved are you without the power? You can't have no name without the power. Everything took place because of the power. It hurt me so bad to know all these thousands of times the right hand, the stretched out arm, the right hand and the stretched out arm. That was the power of the Father, the Creator himself. He kept telling y'all about his right hand and his stretched out arm. That was his power, able to reach anywhere. And he called his stretched out arm and his right hand, letting you know how that power rumbled. No one even wanted to care about it. No one cared. People have still not studied the fact that how many times the right hand and the stretched out arm is in their study guide. They don't even care. Because they denied the power they're in. But yet they got the name. Sit down. Sit down. Okay, so I like that. I like that. That was Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 9. I'm going to make it make sense. Okay, so the gospel is the power and the power is the gospel. Yeshua kept telling y'all when he first got down here and started his ministry, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Then you know, y'all, that power is on the earth. He allowed me to come down with the kingdom, y'all. Do y'all know what the kingdom is? No, they don't know because they don't care. They think that they good to go because they got his name. I can quote his name. What a power to back that name up and land that name down. How about that? Where's the power to back that name up and land that name down? You ain't got it. So therefore, you ain't got no name. So then I get to Philippians. And in the book of Philippians, chapter 2 and verse 5 and 6. In the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 5 and 6, it said, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Yeshua. Make that make sense. Let me see who's going to get that. Make that make sense. Philippians chapter 2, verse 5. Let this mind be in you, which also in Christ Yeshua. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Anybody. Someone says be led by the Ruach, okay? We're going to break it down because we got to break it down as far as we can get it because we're going to make this stuff make sense. It's time to be about what he said. He's bringing that light out of darkness in these end days. Because when that tribulation hit, you ain't going to be looking to bring nothing out of darkness. You're going to be looking for that right hand. You know what that right hand is? You know what that's that power. But how do you know? He even told us he's going to send his hand. And not nobody do they study on it. Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Isaiah. I think it's in Daniel too. He talk about that hand. But no, we don't care. Just long as he come get us, we going. We know we got our ticket already. That's the mindset of people today. They there already. They already in the kingdom of heavens. They didn't skip Mount Zion. They already in the kingdom with the Father. You let them tell it. Now watch this here. As we are into Philippians chapter 2 and verse 5, it says, let this mind be in you, which was also the power in Yeshua. Woo! That's what it means. That when you see Christ before you see Yeshua or Jesus, he wants you to recognize that the power took this on. Let this mind be in you, which was also in the power in Yeshua. Christ was in Yeshua. That was the part of the Father, the beloved, the only begotten. He came down to be in Yeshua. So he letting you know the power is the only one can do that. The power. When Yah came into the flesh of the Son of Man, he did it by his power. So the mind he has in you. He said here in Philippians chapter 2 and verse 5, let the mind be in you that was in the power in Yeshua. You have to have that power. He said, you shall receive what? Power. Once the Holy Spirit come upon you. So now you have the mind of Christ that was also in Yeshua. That's why he got Christ first. He want to let you recognize the power. Because that's the same thing was in Yeshua that's going to be in you. You see how far people are? You see how far from home people really are? And the thing about it, that I have to endure in long suffering, it ain't coming to bring wisdom and knowledge to people to open up and the crooked get straight and life start making people upright and just and right. No, He's speaking to those who are the spiritual seed that's in the light, that some of them only have a pin needle light. Some of them are just trying to find their way. They know that there's something in them. Because a lot of this stuff they already know. Okay, now verse 6. We still in Philippians chapter 2 and verse, now we're on verse 6. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 6. Who being in the form of Yah, though it not be robbery to be equal with Yah. Now, watch this here. Sister Deborah, make it make sense. When you get to Philippians chapter 2 and you land on verse 6, it actually is speaking of something about verse 5. Can you see it? Can anyone see that? Call it out if you can see it. If you could see that, call it out. Let's go again. Philippians chapter 2, verse 5 through 6. Let this mind be in you, which was also in the power in Yeshua. Okay. Verse 6. Who being in the form of Yah. Who is who? Let me help you out. Who is, verse 6, It says who is that? Who is who? Anybody know? Who is who? Anybody know? Christ. There you go. Very good. That's very good. Very good. That's Christ. So he said, who being in the form of Yah. You see how he's telling you Yah is Christ. Christ is Yah. Though it not robbery to be equal with Yah. Because he is Yah. Christ is Yah. He was the part that he says, Yah with you, Emmanuel, Yah with you. All that time Yeshua kept telling us, these things that you see me do, the words I speak, the signs and the miracles and signs of wonder are not of mine. They are of my Father. He always told you it was of his Father. Why? So you can recognize the Father's power that was in him. So that's what you're talking about, Father. That light gonna be sharp in these end days. And it's only sharp enough to bring truth out. Not make the crooked straight. Not deliver somebody. Save somebody. Oh no, he ain't coming to do that. That light is just going to show up. Because it is the beginning and the end. So it's got to show up in the end. Like it was in the beginning. What did he do in the beginning? He created everything with what? That power. So he got to show up in the end days. That's why he bringing light out of darkness in this end day. Okay, so I like that. And it's very good. You said that was Christ. That's excellent. Because I would have never thought nobody would have got that at all. When it says who being in the form of Yah. It's telling you Christ is Yah. But they think because Christ is the end name that's connected to Yeshua, you can't do that. You can't do that. Because he says Yeshua is the son of man, born of a woman, born of the flesh. But in him was the Ruach. So the Ruach was that second name, which was Christ. You are not going to receive that power without understanding who Christ / Hamashiach is. That's when you know truth. They don't know truth. They don't know truth. They can say they know truth all they want. They don't know truth. They can't even handle truth. Okay? So here I go. Now, Colossians. When we get to Colossians chapter 1, verse 26, in the book of Colossians chapter 1 and verse 26, even the mystery which has been hidden from ages and from generations, but is made manifest to his saints. Who is the saints? Who is the saints? Who is the saints? Colossians chapter 1, verse 26, it says, even the mystery which has been hidden. So you see how something was hidden, you guys? Who was it hidden from? Who was it hidden from? Everybody. Everybody. Back in Torah, it was hidden. Everybody. Listen to what it says. Even the mystery which has been hidden from ages and from what? Generations, but now is made manifest to his saints. I heard saints is a word they added. So I would say to his spiritual seed. the one that is branded. What has been hidden? What has been hidden, y'all? What would you think in Colossians? Let me go here. In Colossians chapter 1, verse 26, do anybody happen to know what is that has been hidden? Anyone? Let me look in here. Since it's saying, verse 26, even the mystery which has been hidden. Come on now, let's see what that is. What is hidden? Wait a minute. Hold up now. Let's go. Here we go. Let's go to Colossians chapter 1. And let's start with verse 25. Whereof I am made a minister according to the dispensation of Yah, which is given me for you. So he's letting you know he was made a minister according to the dispensation of Yah, which is given to me for you. Paul is talking to fulfill the word of Yah. You notice he ain't talking about the Bible, the King James, or the lost books, or even the found books, or all the books. He said the word of Yah. It's a difference in the word of Yah versus the words in this King James book. Okay, now let's go to verse 6. Even the mystery. So he's saying not only the word of Yah is to be fulfilled, but the mystery which has been hidden from ages and generations, but now it's being manifested to the saints, which is to the spiritual seeds. Verse 27, to whom Yah would make known what is the riches of his glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Where's Yeshua name at? So what did I tell you all? That the mystery of the power was kept as a mystery even to this very day. It was the power all this time. That is what people are missing, you guys. They missing the understanding of Christ, which Christ can also, in Hebrew, I think it's Hamashiach, but what it means is you can actually use that even as his name. Why? Because it's carrying all his power. When you understand who Christ is, he came down to assist Yeshua in this mission of a blood sacrifice. What did he come down with? That was the Father. He embedded himself into the flesh of the Son of Man. But when he came as the beloved, the only begotten Son of Yah. Yeshua is the Son of Man. He is the Son of Yah. He came to fully assist him, even in the death, even in the burial, even in the resurrection. Did the power have its way? Yeshua couldn't have done it. He needed that beloved, only begotten Father in him. Why? Why are you telling them, Deborah, that they can use Christ, which they can use Hamashiach, Christ / Hamashiach, Hamashiach? What are you saying? You can use that as his name. Why? Because Christ came down with word. Who is the word? The Father. He came down with his spirit. Who is the spirit? The Father. And he came down with all power. Who is all power? The Father. So you can actually use that to move the mountains. That's all power of what Yah consists of. You see what needs to be in you when you're running around here trying to claim you holier than thou? You see what has to be in you? Here he's saying, which is Christ in you. I just got you telling you that. That's the mystery. And that's also the name in which one can use. Because it's got all the Father's power. It has his spirit. And it has his word. That was in Yeshua. Now it lives in us. And we can now know the mystery to the power, to the word, and to the spirit of Yah that reside in us. And it says, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Praise the mighty Yah, Father Yah. I don't think you can break that down any lower than that. You can't break that down any lower. That can't get no lower. That cannot get any lower. Now, I want to go here to 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. Let's try to make that make sense. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, it reads, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not. You see? Your mind. Now, I can see if they said blind your eyes. But you mean the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ. Look at there. Look at there. It's giving you a double whammy of the power. And y'all can't even see it. Listen to where it says. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. In whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of glory, the gospel of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yah. You see that? It's going back to what I've been trying to teach y'all since, the last 4 or 5 years. Now, since I've been on here 7 years, I already knew Christ was the Father, but I'm just still saying lately. Christ, and it says in verse 4, the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of Yah, should shine. Listen to what it says, should shine unto. Didn't I tell y'all? Listen to what it's saying, y'all. What did Sister Deborah teach a few days ago? Yah is bringing the light out of the darkness. Listen to what the light is consist of right here. Watch this here. Verse 4, 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Now, with me, I would think it would be blind the eyes. So if it says it's blind the mind, this is the part he was saying, Deborah, you cannot make crooked straight. You can't convince people. Don't put too much emphasis on trying to get them to see it, to understand it, to want it, to desire it. It's not in them. You can continue to speak bold, but I'll give you something else. Go on top of bold, on top of bold, on top of bold on them. Maybe they'll get somewhere and sit down and get off your page. But go bold. Okay, now watch this here. In whom the God of this world has blind the minds, not the eyes. When you say blind, you'll think the eyes. He said the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of glory, the glorious gospel of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yah, watch this here, should shine onto them. That means their power. If it shine onto them, I don't care if you got a pen needle light, you're going to be coming out of that darkness. You're coming out of that darkness. Because that power. Listen to what it says. The glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of Yah, should shine upon them. So that light is coming out of darkness and it's coming out with something. But I can guarantee you that something is coming out with, it's going to have some sort of light, even if it's a pen needle. You know how I was telling y'all about the pen needle? Pen needle is better than nothing. But he is in the process. And even you all, when you're talking to people, if you're not bringing light out of darkness, sit your tails down. It ain't your purpose. It's not your mission. You are not the servant. Yeah, you can go on and fake it until you think you're going to make it. But let me tell you something. What Yah is showing me, he bringing a lot of them down. Don't be included. And leaving off this earth earlier than expected. Because that's what's going to happen. He ain't playing. He letting everything be according to that will. And everything is moving fast. And people moving up out of here. Okay. So my next message is 2 Timothy chapter 3. Making it make sense. 2 Timothy chapter 3. Now, many of us have heard this verse, but I'm going to show you something that's in it. So I said something that was really powerful earlier, and I said, how is it you're going to have the name without the power? That is so 100, y'all. You can't have. That name that rumbling off your mouth is vain and vexed. It's worthless. If the power not in front of it and in the back. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 5. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 5. And it reads, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. That's where we at today, y'all. Well, what do you mean? This is 2 Timothy chapter 3. Let's go to verse 1. It says, this know also that in the what? Last days, perilous times shall come. You see that? We in the last days. So drop down to 5. Having the form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. What does it mean when it says from such turn away? What did that mean? From such turn away. What does that mean? having the form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. From such turn away. Those that has such the mindset of trying to be a hypocrite. Like I was telling y'all in the last couple of videos, being a hypocrite, it's okay. It's okay for those who are of the flesh. And it's a lot of them. I mean, a whole bunch of them. Okay? It's what people have adopted in their living, is to live a hypocrite life. Right here, he says, having the form of godliness in these end days, these last days, but they deny the power thereof. From such turn away. What is it saying? Turn away and don't follow those who are hypocrites. Okay? What this one is saying is actually that they turn away because they don't have the power. They got the form, but deny the power. And from that, they turn away because they don't have what it takes, you guys. And that's what I've been telling y'all for the last 2 messages. And you all will look at me cockeyed like I'm telling you something wrong. And all I'm trying to tell you is that there is going to be so many people out here living and conducting themselves like hypocrites. They're going to be in your midst. They're going to make you think that they are for you. They're going to portray to have that form. But where you know them is when they don't have that power. You ain't going to have to worry about it because they will turn away because they don't have that power. You get what I'm saying? That's why he said, Deborah, it's time to decrease, not increase. Because they're going to turn away and go their way like they need to, like they should have a long time ago. Because as long as they think that they can have that form of godliness, they're going to be on this page 24, all up in the corners, looking at it through live, all up in the corners, looking, listening, because they feed in that hypocrite mindset. But what are they missing? The power they're in. So since people feel that they have the power of their flesh, it's well with them, it's good enough for them, good, go with it. But one thing I can tell you with that flesh, as I said in the last 2 videos, and this is known facts, many people cannot communicate with anyone. They can communicate with anyone. And I'm going to tell y'all, like I tell everybody in person that I've dealt with. No matter who I appear to be to you, if you can't get along with me, that's just a sign that you ain't never got along with nobody. You ain't never used to having no friends. You's a loner. You see? So it ain't that you come on here and look at me cockeyed when I say certain things. It's just who you are. You were that before you came to this page. And guess what? You're going to be that when you leave. So with that form of godliness, let me tell you something. You ain't going to get far with it. You ain't going to get far with it. You ain't going to get far with it. Especially when I shut down one page and go back to my new page. Good luck. I'll say that now. So that's a good thing about Timothy, 2 Timothy in chapter 3. That's just a good chapter, period. That's a really good chapter. So I got 2 more, you guys. My last is 1 Thessalonians. First Thessalonians chapter 2. Watch this, y'all. I think this one is the good one. All of them was good, but First Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2. We're going to see if we can make this make sense. But even after that, we had suffered before and were shameful, intrigued, as ye know, at Philippian. We were bold in our Yah to speak unto you the gospel of Yah with much contention. You mean the disciples and those that was with Paul and the other epistle, and Paul and the other those that was with him. I want y'all to really hear that. First, can I get somebody to give me the meaning of contention? Because I already have it, but I would like to see that in the live. The word contention, the meaning. Please. And then Sister Deborah will read it again. If I can get someone to put the word contention up in the live. Now, First Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2. But even after that, we had suffered before. You hear that word suffered? You hear that word? Do y'all hear the word suffered? A lot of y'all think that it's easy just getting on this devil platform and bringing forth spirit and truth in the light. It is easy because of what's so great in us, but it comes as endurance and long suffering. Okay. Can you give me another definition? We're going to use that one, please. Pretty please. Because I got that one too. But I'm just saying if I can. Okay, that's okay. I just use what I got. Now listen to this. Paul and them said, Paul was saying, but even after that, we had suffered before and were shamefully entreated, as ye know. In Philippians, we were bold. I like that. See, that's what I'm saying. See, y'all think that Sister Deborah, the way she be speaking, that's you the problem. Okay? The servants of the Most High Yah in this day has to be even bolder than the day of yesterday. Because we're in the end days. It's the worst day. It's the worst time, like no other. So what makes you think y'all ain't going to have he and speaking bold, not grinning and kicking with everybody? So listen to this. He say, we were bold in our Yah to speak unto you the gospel of Yah. And what is that? The power of Yah. With much contention. Now, what was contention? Contention, strong concords. Brawl, contention, disorder, strife, fight, dispute, disagreement, division. And you sit and look at me like I'm cockeyed, and you the one cockeyed. Paul's sitting here telling you they was speaking bold, the gospel of Yah, unto with much contention. Why is there fighting, disputing, disagreement, division, brawling, disorder, and strife going on? Why? Because they speaking bold. That's what bold do. That's what happens when you speak truth. It's a known fact, you guys. If the flesh is an enemy to the spirit, it does not want nothing the spirit has to say. It wants nothing that the spirit has to say. Would you say paddle cakes? I hear you. No. You see? So listen to him. Look at them. Look what they putting up with. All because they doing what? Speaking the power of Yah in a form of bold. And there's contention. See? Sister Deborah, I don't care what. I can bag this thing up and I can land this thing down. Either way. Because I just think about how I can actually say to the Father, I've been on this devil platform 7 years and ain't heard not one person on the whole YouTube teach nothing about the things that I have brought forth through the Ruach on this platform. 7 years, and I cannot say it. They won't. I heard someone teaching that they didn't made the Bible say what they wanted to say, and they have tampered with it. And I said, you've been on here 20 some years and have the audacity the year of 2025 to come on here after you misled all these people. And you're going to come on here and say that the Bible been tampered with. And the sick people listen to them. Because all you have to do is go back into what you've been teaching and update it. They ain't going to update. Oh, no. Because guess what it'll do? It'll show who they always been. But yet, they have led the multitude. I'm not mad at them. Not after knowing what took place before the foundation of the world. Okay? Not at all. So here, Paul in the other epistle, they were in a situation and they was telling that they were bold in our Yah. What do you mean? We were bold, Deborah, in our Yah to speak unto them, the gospel of Yah, the power. See, when you get to talk about the power, you got to be bold, y'all. The power is not something you preach and teach easy. You got to bring the fullness of boldness out with that. Just imagine the power that existed in Genesis from the beginning of creation and even in the kingdom. And for today, they don't know nothing about the power. No one has no idea. Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. That's all they know is to call names, but they don't know what's behind the name. They don't know how to bring that thing up and land that bad boy down in the power that rests therein. They don't know nothing about all that. Okay? So my last verse is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2. And it reads, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit. So he don't want your spirit troubled, y'all. Nor by word. Don't be troubled by the word of Yah, nor by spirit, nor by the latter as from us. Meaning the words that they see. Now, wait, hold up. This is the third chapter and verse we have heard about the letter. See how back then they called it the letter, information that they left. You see? That's why you can't make it the word. Look at what verse 2. Look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2. That ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be doubled, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter from us. Look how they separate Yah word from their word. I've seen that 3 times. This is the 3rd time since I read this here. Today, look how Paul separate Yah word with no S, nor by letter as from us. You see? As that the day of the power is at hand. The day of the power is at hand. And do you know what else? Many people are looking for Yeshua, and they have no idea Yeshua's mission is to come back. He's coming back with angels, and they're going to get from the 4 corners, collect everybody. They're going to get those from the 4 corners. Not the Israelites, the goats and the sheep from all the 4 corners. You see? So he can separate which one goes to the lake of fire and which one goes to the kingdom. Yeshua going to do that, the Son of Man. They're so confused with Christ to where Christ is the power. Yeshua is the Son of Man. They so screwed up. They can't see when Christ steps in and give all the support to Yeshua. Yeshua is coming, but everybody thinking Yeshua is it. They deny the power. So here in verse 2, chapter 2 of Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 2 says, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or troubled. Watch this here. Neither by your spirit, nor by the word. You see that? That's the word of Yah. Now watch this here. Nor by the letter as from us. You see? He separate the word from what they say. Okay, then he said, as that day, that the day, that's our day, y'all, that we're in, of Christ is at hand. Meaning the power is going to be at hand. How did they know all about that? Because they were the spiritual seeds, you guys. That's going back to what I was telling y'all. Everybody is not the spiritual seed. Yah is not going to take the serpent seed and make them the spiritual seed. But the world thinks so. The world feels that's how he's going to be because he's so just. He's still going to be just when he leave your butt in hell. And not in hell, but in the lake of fire. He's going to be so 100 just on top of just when he do that. His judgment is already just and upright and righteous. Everything about the Father is great, is perfect, is excellent. Even his very choice of hell, lake of fire, and eternal kingdom of heaven is perfectly orchestrated by him. So I, Sister Deborah, appreciate each and every last one of you all joining in this message. And I say you all have a wonderful night, evening, late night, not late night, but night. And I say shalom and shalom.